Hi BBA students, today we're going to cover topic 4, which is on uses of genetic engineering, and the specification point that you need to know here is to evaluate, so to be able to look at both the good, so the advantages and disadvantages, in this case the benefits and the risks of genetic engineering, and you need to be able to refer both of those things to the context of modern agriculture but also in medicine. Okay, so we're going to start off by just looking first of all at the benefits. Okay, so for example, if we look at the first thing, which is going to be in agriculture, so farming essentially, crops can be genetically modified to be resistant to herbicides. So remember, resistant meaning it doesn't have an effect anymore or it's stronger than. Herbicides meaning chemicals that are that will be able to kill plants. Okay, so what that means then is the farmers can spray their crops, and what will happen is it will kill all of the weeds without affecting the crop itself. Okay, so first of all, making crops herbicide resistant. Okay, and remember that herbicide is a chemical that kills weeds. Okay, so that word herb sounds a bit like something to do with plants, okay, but it's not the good kind of plants. Okay, so if farmers are able to spray this on the crops, what will happen is, a really big benefit is that it will increase the crop yield, and therefore the farmer can sell a lot more of his product. If we have a look at the benefits of genetic engineering in medicine, one of the main things that you would have learned about in genetic engineering is the example of insulin. So there's many other medical benefits, but obviously in that one they use bacteria because bacteria reproduce so quickly. So they would use bacteria which can make the protein insulin. Okay, and refer back to the genetic engineering video to see how that gets done. Other things that can be made is also other useful proteins, so not just insulin, but other useful proteins, for example, antibodies. Okay, and what they can do is they can use those antibodies in diseases such as arthritis, cancer, or even multiple sclerosis. Okay, so I'll just put that as MS. Okay, and sometime in the future, scientists even believe that they can use the benefit of genetic engineering in organ transplantation, but we're not quite there yet. Now, as with anything, things can be sometimes beneficial, but you also need to be able to evaluate and to justify what the risks are to do with genetic engineering. So first of all, because we don't yet know, because it's so new in science, what all the consequences are yet of using genetic engineering, there are some concerns that when genetic engineering is used in living organisms, that perhaps the organism may not survive, because we just don't know what sort of adverse effects may happen. Or alternatively, the organism may suffer from health problems. And then, again, this is sort of the medical context. If we then think about how that is affected in agriculture, is what might happen is the transplanted genes, so let's say, for example, we've got a herbicide-resistant gene, can be picked up by weeds, and so essentially what will be created is something called a superweed. So where essentially that weed is going to be resistant to being killed. And that's going to have an effect on animals in food chains, and that could even have an effect on our health as humans. Okay, and that sums up the topic of genetic engineering.